Welcome to the 1989 Mercedes Benz 420 SEL. If you were in one of these cars in 1989, you were either a businessman or in the mob. You see, there are cars you buy when you want to look like the boss. Then there's cars you buy when you are the boss. And this is one of those cars. And with an MSRP of $140,000 adjusted for inflation, you can see why. The stature of this car is conservatively capitalistic. Now what I mean by that is it doesn't necessarily look so flashy, but it's a long wheelbase Mercedes with leg room that will satisfy any executive. And also, it just means business, both metaphorically and literally. Speaking of legroom, you might have thought there's a bottle of champagne and a mini fridge back here, but you'd be mistaken, because when you're a businessman, you gotta stay sharp between the ears. You don't have time to drink champagne. Stay hydrated. Not only do you not get any mini fridge or champagne or anything, but there's not a single cup holder in this car. And the reason for that is that Germans never really ate or drank anything in their vehicles, so there was no need to have cup holders in their cars. An interesting feature you may have already noticed is this Motorola phone. Now I feel like if you're a businessman or a mob guy, the conversation could only go one of two ways. If you're the businessman, hey John, I need you to sell about 50,000 shares of IBM and try to get me around 30,000 shares of GE before market close. All right, thanks John, I'll see you bud. Or if you're the mob guy, it would go like this. Hey Jimmy, how you doing? Yeah, I did it, yeah, it's no problem. What you gonna do? All right, Jimmy, forget about it. So what do you get when you spend this much money on a luxury sedan in 1989? Well, it's called the 420 SEL, so you get a 4.2 liter V8. This engine produces 220 horsepower, 240 pound-foot of torque in that range. It's not the fastest car in the world, but it's pretty smooth. It's hooked up to a 4-speed automatic transmission that shifts pretty slow, but you know, it is what it is. And if you want to look around the engine bay, here you go. The ride is absolutely fantastic. For a car of this time, the suspension is very comfortable. After all, this car is an S Class, so you expect a perfect ride. And this delivers. And when you corner, it doesn't have much body roll whatsoever. It hits corners very... The steering is a little loosey-goosey. You see I can move the steering wheel quite a bit. There's a lot of leeway. What I find iconic about these cars are actually these rims with this big dish in the middle and these holes. But the only problem is you don't know what the heck is going on back there. I mean, you have to take the wheels off to get a good clean, which is pretty impractical, but I think it's pretty cool. Though it's not as fluffy as what you would expect in the new S Class, obviously, but it's still very good. The response is perfect. You can feel each wheel on the independent suspension. With a naturally aspirated V8, the throttle response is perfect. The brakes bring you down quickly, and right when you're out of the corner, you're off to a good start, because the second you put your foot down, you get the torque and you're on the move. Now, this still is a slow car, and it's paired with a 4-speed automatic transmission. But you don't really feel how slow it is until you go beyond 40 miles per hour. And what I mean is, from a dead stop to 40 miles per hour, you would actually think this car might be quick. But when you put your foot down after that, you really notice how slow it is. And there's nothing wrong with that really, because if you're driving this thing, you want to relax. But if you need to put your foot down, which I'm doing, I mean, you don't really go anywhere, but it does get the job done. You get the perfect balance between luxury and comfort, but you maintain that feel of the road, because sometimes with these luxury cars, especially old ones, you lose that connection with the road. You just float around until you reach your destination. This, not really. You're comfortable, but you feel the road. You don't feel totally disconnected. The only thing that could be better is the transmission and maybe even a little more power out of the engine. But overall, it's great. Let's take a look around the interior. You have memory seats. You push this button and then choose your memory mode, which I think is very interesting for a car of this age to have memory seats. Your gauges, this is what it looks like. This car actually only has 21,000 miles. My 2007 BMW actually has a manual steering wheel adjustment, but this one has a little switch where the steering wheel actually telescopes automatically. Interesting. Mirror adjustment in this car is very interesting. On the right side you have this little joystick, so you can adjust the mirrors this way. But you don't have that joystick for both sides, and it's pretty genius because right here you can just reach on the driver's side and adjust the mirrors this way. And the ones you can't reach on the opposite side, you use this joystick. Good feature. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it to be very nice. I'll see you later.